History is often presented as a story of kings, generals, and monumental events, but the real heartbeat of the past lies in the lives of ordinary people whose faces have largely been forgotten. In this section, we begin to uncover the hidden humanity of history, revealing rare photographs that capture the faces, expressions, and moments of people who lived through extraordinary times. These images challenge the traditional narrative that history is only made by the famous. They show us that every major event, the rise of empires, the collapse of societies, the upheaval of revolutions, was experienced by countless individuals, each with their own story. For the first time, we can see history through the eyes of those who were not immortalized in textbooks, whose contributions were never recorded in official annals, but whose lives were no less real, no less impactful. A photograph of a street in Paris during the winter of 1914 might appear ordinary at first glance: cobblestone streets, a child carrying a basket, women in long coats hurrying past. Yet, in that fleeting moment captured by a camera, we see the uncertainty and resilience of people facing the shadow of war. The child's worn shoes and the anxious glance of a passerby hint at stories of hunger, loss, and survival. Such images reveal a side of history that statistics and official records cannot convey. We begin to understand that the daily life of ordinary citizens, buying bread, working in factories, walking home through snow-covered streets, was profoundly shaped by events often attributed solely to kings, generals, and politicians. In these forgotten moments, we also encounter cultural practices and social norms that time has nearly erased. Photographs of marketplaces in Cairo in the late 1800s show bustling crowds, merchants shouting their wares, children playing in the alleys, and families negotiating trades. Each face tells a story of ambition, hardship, and routine that is invisible in history books. We can see the subtle ways in which people adapted to their environment, maintained traditions, and preserved their identity even under oppressive conditions. These rare images challenge our assumptions, forcing us to confront the richness and complexity of past societies. What might seem mundane in a photograph, a mother feeding her child, a man mending shoes on the street, becomes a portal into the lives, struggles, and joys of ordinary people. During periods of war and social upheaval, the faces captured in photographs are particularly poignant. Soldiers preparing for battle, families fleeing conflict zones, and workers continuing their daily routines despite chaos reveal resilience and humanity in ways that official accounts rarely capture. A photograph from the Russian Revolution shows a group of factory workers, exhausted yet determined, staring directly into the camera. Their eyes, lined with fatigue and hope, tell a story of perseverance in the face of uncertainty. Similarly, images of civilians in occupied territories during World War II reveal quiet acts of resistance, moments of despair, and fleeting glimpses of joy. These photos remind us that history is not only about strategy and policy, it is about lived experience, and every face captured represents a lifetime of unseen struggles and triumphs. Some of the most striking photographs reveal the stark contrast between appearance and reality. In one image, a family stands proudly in front of their modest home, dressed in their finest clothes, smiling at the camera. Yet subtle details, the worn shoes, the patched coats, the sparse surroundings, hint at poverty and hardship. Such images force us to question our assumptions about historical wealth, status, and comfort. They remind us that the past was not a world of simple narratives or predictable outcomes, but a tapestry of experiences, contradictions, and untold stories. These photographs give us a sense of intimacy, allowing us to connect with people separated from us by decades or even centuries. In exploring these rare images, we also begin to see how history has been filtered through selective memory. Many of the faces we now see were deliberately overlooked, deemed insignificant by those writing official histories. Yet their existence, preserved in photographs, demands recognition. Each image acts as evidence that history was lived on a personal level, full of small moments that collectively shaped the world. The clothes worn, the expressions captured, and the environments depicted all contribute to a more nuanced understanding of human life in past eras. By bringing these forgotten faces to the forefront, we start to see history as a living, breathing human story rather than a series of distant, impersonal events. We see the laughter, the fear, the determination, and the resilience etched into each expression. We recognize that behind every historical headline, every battle, every revolution, there were countless individuals living, struggling, and shaping the course of events in ways that were never fully acknowledged. Through these rare photographs, history becomes personal, tangible, and deeply relatable, reminding us that the people we see, ordinary and extraordinary alike, carry the weight, the beauty, and the tragedy of human existence across time. While history often celebrates the victories of nations and the strategies of generals, countless conflicts have been forgotten, hidden, or deliberately ignored. Rare photographs from these lesser-known wars reveal a reality far removed from textbooks or museum exhibits. They capture the raw human cost of conflict and the experiences of those who lived, and often died, without recognition. These images remind us that war is not simply a series of battles on a map but a lived experience that affects every corner of society. The faces we see in these photographs, fearful, exhausted, defiant, tell stories that numbers and dates cannot. They reveal the suffering, resilience, and quiet heroism of ordinary people caught in extraordinary circumstances. Consider the colonial wars in Africa during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Rare photographs show local communities navigating life under the weight of foreign occupation. Villages destroyed by forced labor, children forced into camps, and families displaced from lands their ancestors had inhabited for generations are captured with stark clarity. One photo shows a young boy standing in front of a makeshift school built after a village was partially destroyed. His clothes are tattered, his gaze both wary and curious. This image conveys the complex emotions of survival amid chaos, hope persisting alongside devastation. Unlike widely circulated images of European generals or colonial rulers, these photographs focus on the people who bore the real consequences of conquest, revealing a perspective long erased from mainstream history. In Europe, rarely seen photographs from the fringes of World War I and II challenge conventional narratives of glory and heroism. While textbooks celebrate strategies, alliances, and decisive battles, these images show the human suffering that accompanied them. Soldiers huddle in muddy trenches, their expressions a mixture of fatigue, fear, and resignation. Civilians scavenge for food amidst rubble, and children play in bombed-out streets, unaware of the danger surrounding them. One photograph captures a nurse tending to wounded soldiers under the constant threat of artillery fire. Her face, determined yet weary, encapsulates the unseen labor of care that history often overlooks. These rare images force us to confront the cost of war in human terms, emphasizing the fragility of life amidst global conflict. Beyond Europe and Africa, images from suppressed uprisings and local rebellions reveal struggles rarely recorded in official histories. In Southeast Asia, photographs of villagers resisting colonial or authoritarian forces illustrate moments of courage that textbooks barely acknowledge. A captured image of a group of rebels, armed with makeshift weapons and standing against a superior force, tells a story of defiance, strategy, and community cohesion. Though their names and victories may have been erased, their presence in photographs preserves their legacy. Similarly, images from South America show indigenous communities defending their lands, often facing overwhelming odds. Each photograph emphasizes that history is not only made by the victorious but also by those who resist, survive, and fight for their existence in ways that rarely reach mainstream awareness. Rare war photographs also reveal the emotional landscapes of those caught in conflict. One of the most striking images from the Korean War shows a mother cradling her child amidst the ruins of her village. The child's face is hidden against her shoulder, but the mother's expression conveys exhaustion, fear, and a flicker of hope. These images are not simply records of destruction, they are windows into the human experience of conflict, the silent grief, the small acts of courage, the moments of tenderness that persist even in the harshest circumstances. By focusing on individuals rather than generals or borders, these photographs reshape our understanding of history as a lived experience rather than a series of abstract events. Even in times of supposed peace, the aftermath of conflict left society scarred in ways that photographs reveal more powerfully than words. Refugee camps, temporary settlements, and abandoned villages serve as visual reminders of the displacement and societal disruption that followed war. Images of women cooking over open fires, children playing amidst debris, and men attempting to rebuild their communities capture the resilience of human beings facing adversity. They also reveal the failures of governments, institutions, and international powers to adequately respond to the needs of survivors. In these rare images, we see the long shadow of war stretching far beyond the battlefield, affecting everyday life for years, sometimes decades, after the official end of conflict. Photographs from secret or forgotten military operations offer another layer of insight. Rare images from covert missions, espionage activities, and clandestine interventions illustrate aspects of history deliberately hidden from public view. Soldiers in uniform, posing in unmarked locations, or civilians interacting with foreign operatives, capture the tension between secrecy and exposure. One particularly haunting photograph shows local villagers watching foreign soldiers discreetly unloading supplies in a deserted village. The image communicates unease and curiosity, highlighting the intersecting lives of ordinary people and hidden powers shaping events around them. Such images reveal how much of history remains unseen, how narratives are shaped not only by what is recorded but also by what is suppressed. These rare war photographs challenge us to reconsider our understanding of courage, suffering, and heroism. They reveal that the most important stories of conflict are often invisible, told not through speeches or treaties but through the expressions of those who endured. Each photograph becomes a testament to human resilience, showing how ordinary people navigated impossible circumstances with strength, ingenuity, and compassion. From devastated villages to quiet acts of resistance, from faces of despair to fleeting moments of joy, these images invite viewers to see history from the perspective of those who lived it rather than those who wrote it. By bringing these hidden wars and untold conflicts into focus, we are reminded that history is never a single story. It is a mosaic of countless experiences, many of which have been buried under the weight of official accounts. These rare photographs serve as evidence that history belongs not only to the victors but also to those whose voices were silenced, whose suffering went unnoticed, and whose courage went unrecorded. As we examine these images, we begin to grasp the complexity of human conflict and the profound ways in which ordinary lives intersect with extraordinary events, reshaping our understanding of what history truly is. The story of human progress is often told as a tale of invention, innovation, and triumph. We celebrate breakthroughs in science, industry, and medicine as markers of human ingenuity. Yet, hidden within these narratives are rare photographs that reveal a darker, more complex truth. Progress often came at a tremendous cost, and innovation was not always benevolent. These images capture the unintended consequences of industrialization, scientific experimentation, and technological advancement, showing us that behind every celebrated invention lies a story of human struggle, risk, and sometimes outright suffering. One particularly striking set of photographs comes from the factories of the 19th and early 20th centuries. Workers, men, women, and often children, are shown laboring for 12 hours or more in hazardous conditions, their faces grim and hands calloused from repetitive, dangerous tasks. Machinery looms overhead, unguarded and merciless, a constant threat to life. Some images capture moments of injury or exhaustion, the human cost of mass production frozen in time. These photographs challenge the nostalgic image of the Industrial Revolution as purely a story of progress and innovation. They show the invisible workforce whose sacrifices made technological advancement possible, yet whose suffering is rarely remembered. Early scientific experiments, too, reveal a history of risk and ethical ambiguity captured in rare images. In laboratories across Europe and North America, photographers documented experiments on human subjects, animals, and even environmental conditions that today would be considered unethical. One photograph shows a physician carefully monitoring a patient undergoing an experimental treatment, the subject's expression a mixture of fear and resignation. Another depicts scientists testing electrical currents on animals in the name of discovery. These images reveal the hidden side of scientific progress, a relentless pursuit of knowledge that often disregarded human dignity and welfare. They remind us that innovation was not always a moral enterprise, and that the benefits of discovery were frequently built on discomfort, pain, or even death. Industrial disasters, too, are captured in rare photographs that contrast sharply with the celebratory tone of technological history. Images of factory explosions, collapsed bridges, and mining accidents reveal the vulnerability of both workers and the communities around them. One particularly haunting image shows survivors standing amidst the rubble of a factory, their faces etched with shock and despair, while twisted machinery looms behind them. These photographs provide a stark counternarrative to official accounts that often downplay or ignore human casualties. They remind viewers that every major technological achievement came with risk, and that progress was not a linear story of triumph but a complex interplay of ingenuity, negligence, and human endurance. Medical advancements offer another window into this hidden history. Rare photographs of early surgeries, vaccinations, and experimental treatments show procedures that were often invasive, rudimentary, and risky. Surgeons posed for the camera with their instruments, unaware of how future generations would judge these practices. One image captures a group of doctors performing a procedure by candlelight, the patient's anxiety visible in their posture and expression. Another shows nurses preparing experimental medications, the meticulous care masking the uncertainty of outcomes. These images reveal the bravery of both practitioners and patients, while also highlighting the ethical ambiguities of a time when the boundaries of medicine were constantly tested. They remind us that medical progress was not just about discovery but also about trial, error, and human endurance in the face of uncertainty. Rare photographs of transportation innovations further illustrate the risks of progress. Early trains, automobiles, and aircraft were marvels of engineering, yet they carried significant danger. Photographs of crashes, derailments, and experimental flights show the lives affected by the pursuit of speed and connectivity. One striking image depicts a pilot standing beside a damaged aircraft, his expression a mixture of relief and concern, while onlookers peer anxiously at the wreckage. These images serve as a reminder that the pursuit of technological advancement has always involved risk, uncertainty, and, at times, tragedy. They also highlight the resilience and courage of individuals who embraced innovation despite the dangers, pushing boundaries that others might have avoided. Even in domestic life, technological progress left visible marks on society. Rare photographs capture early attempts at electrification, plumbing, and mechanized household appliances. These images reveal both wonder and unease, families experimenting with new tools, children fascinated yet cautious, and communities adapting to technologies that would soon reshape daily life. While these images often appear quaint today, they document a period of transition in which human life, social patterns, and routines were fundamentally altered by inventions that were at once liberating and disruptive. They show us that progress is rarely neutral, it transforms society in ways that are both visible and hidden, intentional and accidental. By examining these rare photographs, we begin to understand that the history of innovation is inseparable from the human experiences it affected. Progress is not simply a narrative of achievement, it is a story of risk, sacrifice, and resilience. These images allow us to see the consequences of human ambition, the trials endured by workers, patients, and inventors alike, and the unforeseen impacts of technological change. They offer a more nuanced perspective on history, reminding us that every advancement carries a cost and that the triumphs we celebrate often coexist with human suffering. In revealing the dark side of innovation, these photographs challenge us to question the narratives we have inherited. They remind us that history is not only about progress but also about the people who lived through it, endured it, and shaped it in ways that were often invisible to the wider world. By studying these images, we gain insight not only into the tools and inventions themselves but also into the human stories that underpin them, the courage, the hardship, and the resilience that history often overlooks. In this way, rare photographs of industrial, scientific, and medical history transform our understanding of progress from a simple story of triumph into a complex tapestry of human experience, revealing a past that is far richer, darker, and more fascinating than we might ever have imagined. When we think of royalty and the elite, we often imagine grandeur, power, and privilege. Portraits of kings and queens, lavish palaces, and opulent ceremonies dominate our understanding of the past. Yet hidden beneath this glittering surface are rare photographs that reveal a very different story, one of human flaws, private indulgences, and scandalous behaviors that were never meant to be seen by the public. These images strip away the pomp and ceremony to show that behind every crown and gilded throne, there were human beings grappling with the same desires, fears, and imperfections as the common people. They offer a glimpse into a world that was carefully curated for public perception but was in reality full of contradictions and hidden truths. Some of the most compelling images capture moments of vulnerability and intimacy within royal households. A photograph of a young monarch reading alone in a dimly lit study, for example, offers a rare and deeply human moment away from the spectacle of governance. Another shows a queen laughing with her children in the gardens of a palace, far removed from the rigid formality that history often associates with royalty. These moments remind us that behind the grandeur of crowns and ceremonies, the lives of the elite were still governed by everyday human experiences, love, loss, curiosity, and anxiety. The rare photographs that capture these moments serve as windows into the private realities of figures who are usually immortalized only in public triumphs or political achievements. Yet not all images reveal tenderness. Some photographs expose the excesses and controversial behaviors of the powerful, challenging our assumptions about morality and decorum in elite circles. There are images of secret parties, elaborate masquerades, and private indulgences that were kept hidden from official records. A photograph of a lavish banquet, for instance, shows royals and courtiers in extravagant attire, surrounded by mountains of food and drink, completely oblivious to the suffering occurring just beyond the palace walls. Another captures a ruler engaging in a scandalous affair, a rare glimpse into a life that was carefully concealed from the public eye. These images contrast sharply with the carefully polished image presented in history books, reminding viewers that power and privilege do not equate to moral superiority or ethical behavior. Scandals captured in rare photographs also shed light on the tensions between public perception and private reality. In some cases, portraits meant to portray dignity and authority were undermined by candid images taken in informal settings. One striking photograph shows a king looking weary and distracted during an official event, a rare glimpse of the mental and emotional toll of leadership. Another captures a noblewoman in a moment of frustration or despair, her carefully composed public persona at odds with the vulnerability revealed in a private setting. These images remind us that even those who appear untouchable were human, and that the narratives of grandeur and stability often mask a more complex reality. Beyond individual personalities, rare photographs reveal the hidden dynamics and social structures within elite circles. Images of advisors, courtiers, and servants provide context for the inner workings of royal life, showing how power, hierarchy, and loyalty were negotiated behind closed doors. A photograph of a royal council meeting might reveal subtle expressions of tension, rivalry, or deference, offering insights into the political maneuvering that textbooks rarely capture. Another image of servants preparing for a grand event illustrates the immense labor required to maintain the illusion of effortless luxury. Together, these photographs expose the human machinery behind the spectacle, reminding us that the lives of the powerful were intertwined with the efforts, sacrifices, and experiences of those who served them. Rare photographs also shed light on moments of crisis within royal households, moments that history often glosses over. Images from times of political scandal, personal loss, or public unrest reveal the vulnerability and fragility of elites. One photograph shows a monarch visiting a hospital during a plague outbreak, the expressions on the faces of both the ruler and the patients conveying a mix of empathy, anxiety, and uncertainty. Another captures a royal family leaving a palace hurriedly during a period of civil unrest, revealing the very real dangers that accompanied positions of privilege. These images remind viewers that while the elite often controlled vast wealth and influence, they were not immune to the forces of nature, politics, or human emotion. By focusing on these rare photographs, we begin to see royalty and the elite not as distant, idealized figures but as complex human beings, navigating the same desires, fears, and challenges as everyone else. Their private lives, hidden indulgences, and moments of vulnerability are preserved in these images, providing a fuller, more nuanced understanding of history. These photographs challenge the myth of untouchable power and reveal a side of history that is both fascinating and unsettling, inviting viewers to reconsider everything they thought they knew about the lives of those who ruled. Ultimately, the rare photographs of royalty and elite circles do more than just reveal scandal or indulgence, they humanize history. They remind us that behind the gold, jewels, and ceremony were individuals with emotions, flaws, and personal struggles. By exploring these hidden truths, we gain a richer understanding of the past, one that emphasizes the complexity of human experience rather than the simplicity of myth or legend. The images compel us to confront the realities of power, privilege, and human imperfection, offering a rare glimpse into the secret world behind history's most celebrated figures. While history often glorifies kings, generals, and well-known public figures, the lives of marginalized communities have been largely overlooked. Rare photographs provide a window into the worlds of laborers, refugees, minority groups, and other hidden societies whose experiences were rarely recorded or celebrated. These images reveal resilience, ingenuity, and everyday struggles that challenge conventional narratives. They remind us that history is not only shaped by those in power but also by ordinary people navigating adversity, often in ways that defy official records or mainstream accounts. The faces captured in these photographs tell stories of survival, resistance, and quiet dignity, offering insights into societies that history frequently ignored. Images from refugee camps, for example, reveal the human consequences of displacement and political turmoil. One photograph shows a group of children playing amidst the ruins of a temporary settlement, their laughter contrasting sharply with the bleakness of their surroundings. Another captures families cooking over open fires, their expressions a mixture of fatigue and determination. These photographs highlight the resilience of communities who, despite unimaginable challenges, managed to maintain a sense of normalcy and preserve their cultural identity. They provide a stark reminder that the impact of conflict, famine, or forced migration extends far beyond statistics, affecting the everyday lives of real people in deeply human ways. Laborers and working-class communities also emerge vividly in rare photographs, revealing lives shaped by exploitation, endurance, and often dangerous conditions. Images from early 20th century factories, mines, and ports show men, women, and even children performing grueling work under harsh conditions. One photograph depicts a group of dockworkers unloading crates in the pouring rain, their faces lined with exhaustion but their movements precise and synchronized. Another captures miners emerging from tunnels, their bodies covered in soot and their eyes reflecting years of relentless labor. These photographs document the lives of individuals who were essential to economic growth yet remained invisible in historical narratives dominated by elites and policymakers. They show that history is lived not only through monumental events but also through the daily toil and perseverance of those who sustain society from the ground up. Minority communities, too, are illuminated in rare historical images that reveal both their cultural richness and the oppression they endured. Photographs of indigenous peoples, ethnic minorities, and religious communities often depict traditions, ceremonies, and everyday life that were suppressed or misunderstood by dominant societies. One image shows a group of women in traditional dress participating in a ritual that had been forbidden by colonial authorities. Another captures a family maintaining their cultural practices in a crowded urban environment, balancing survival with identity preservation. These images highlight the resilience of communities who resisted erasure and fought to retain their heritage, offering a perspective on history that is often absent from textbooks. Hidden societies and underground movements also appear in these rare photographs, shedding light on clandestine networks, secret gatherings, and acts of resistance. Images of secret political meetings, labor strikes, or cultural preservation efforts reveal the courage of individuals who risked persecution to challenge dominant power structures. One photograph shows a group of activists distributing pamphlets in a dimly lit alley, their faces determined but cautious. Another captures members of an underground education initiative, teaching children forbidden knowledge in secrecy. These images emphasize that the forces shaping history extend beyond governments and institutions, including the quiet but powerful actions of ordinary people striving to protect their communities and values. Even within everyday life, rare photographs reveal challenges and adaptations unique to marginalized groups. Images of crowded urban tenements, informal markets, and makeshift homes show how communities creatively navigated limited resources and social restrictions. One photograph depicts a young boy collecting water from a communal pump, while neighbors stand nearby, exchanging news and supplies. Another shows women balancing domestic responsibilities with work outside the home, their expressions revealing both weariness and determination. These photographs highlight the ingenuity, collaboration, and resilience that sustained marginalized communities despite systemic barriers and societal neglect. Some of the most striking rare photographs focus on children growing up in these hidden worlds. They reveal innocence amid hardship and the ways in which young lives were shaped by economic, social, and political circumstances. One image shows children playing with improvised toys in a refugee camp, their creativity and joy starkly contrasted against the harsh environment. Another captures students attending clandestine schools, their curiosity and determination evident despite limited resources and the ever-present risk of persecution. These photographs remind us that even in adversity, human spirit, creativity, and resilience endure, leaving traces of hope and humanity in moments that might otherwise have been forgotten. By examining these rare images, we gain a deeper understanding of how history was experienced on the margins. They challenge dominant narratives that often ignore the lives of those without political power, wealth, or fame, revealing the complex and layered realities of ordinary existence. Each photograph becomes a testament to the resilience, dignity, and ingenuity of marginalized communities, showing that their contributions to history, though often unrecognized, were vital to the shaping of societies. In highlighting these hidden communities, rare photographs allow us to confront the inequality, oppression, and struggles that were part of daily life for so many. They also illuminate the courage, perseverance, and creativity that allowed these individuals and communities to survive, resist, and sometimes even thrive in the face of adversity. By bringing these images to the forefront, history becomes more inclusive, nuanced, and humanized, reminding us that the past was lived not only by those celebrated in textbooks but also by countless others whose stories deserve recognition. These images offer a rare and invaluable glimpse into lives that were often overlooked, revealing a side of history that is rich, complex, and profoundly moving. Time is relentless, and with it, civilizations rise and fall, cities flourish and decay, and once vibrant societies fade into obscurity. Rare photographs of forgotten cities and lost worlds capture the haunting beauty of places that were once alive with human activity but are now silent or ruined. These images provide a window into the impermanence of human achievement, reminding us that even the most powerful civilizations are not immune to destruction, neglect, or the passage of time. They show landscapes frozen in moments of abandonment, where the weight of history is palpable, and every cracked wall, deserted street, or collapsed structure tells a story waiting to be uncovered. Some photographs depict entire cities abandoned due to war, natural disaster, or economic collapse. Streets once bustling with commerce lie empty, houses are boarded up, and marketplaces are overtaken by weeds. A photograph of an industrial town abandoned after a mine closure captures rows of empty homes, their windows shattered or darkened with dust, while rusting machinery stands as a silent reminder of past labor and livelihoods. These images evoke a sense of loss, illustrating how human life, ambition, and community can be abruptly interrupted, leaving behind only fragments for future generations to piece together. They force us to confront the fragility of human settlements and the transitory nature of our achievements. In some cases, lost cities reveal the remnants of cultural and architectural grandeur, now overtaken by nature. Rare photographs of ancient ruins show ornate temples, statues, and civic buildings, weathered and partially collapsed, yet still hinting at the sophistication and creativity of the societies that built them. One image captures a crumbling amphitheater, overgrown with ivy, where crowds once gathered for performances and civic discourse. Another shows the remains of a ceremonial plaza, its steps worn and cracked, a silent testament to rituals and gatherings long forgotten. These photographs highlight the tension between human ambition and the inevitability of decay, revealing the beauty that endures even in the aftermath of abandonment. Natural disasters have also left indelible marks on cities and communities, captured in rare photographs that convey both tragedy and resilience. Images of towns devastated by floods, earthquakes, or volcanic eruptions show structures toppled and streets buried under debris, while survivors attempt to salvage what remains. One photograph depicts villagers sifting through rubble for belongings, their expressions a mixture of grief, determination, and disbelief. Another captures the skeletal remains of buildings, their stark lines contrasting with the chaos around them. These images remind us that even the most enduring human creations are vulnerable to the forces of nature, and that history is shaped as much by environmental events as by human decisions. Rare photographs of forgotten urban spaces also reveal the social and cultural life that once animated them. A deserted market square might hint at the trade, gossip, and daily interactions that once occurred there. Images of empty classrooms, abandoned schools, and deserted places of worship evoke the routines, rituals, and communal activities that gave meaning to daily life. One particularly striking photograph shows a long-abandoned train station, its platforms empty, yet the tracks and signage hint at a past filled with movement, connection, and human ambition. These photographs allow viewers to imagine the vibrant lives that once occupied these spaces, offering a sense of intimacy with history that is often lost when focusing solely on grand political events or famous figures. Some lost cities are preserved not by abandonment but by disaster, where time has frozen human activity in a moment. Rare photographs of towns buried by volcanic eruptions, such as Pompeii, capture streets, houses, and even residents in a state of suspended life. Each image tells a story of sudden interruption, showing the fragility of human existence in the face of overwhelming natural forces. Similarly, photographs of areas affected by war or forced evacuation reveal cities left almost perfectly intact yet completely devoid of human presence, evoking both eeriness and poignancy. These images challenge viewers to reflect on the vulnerability of human life and civilization, highlighting how quickly the familiar can be rendered alien. Rediscovery plays an important role in understanding these lost worlds. Photographs documenting archaeological excavations or explorations of forgotten cities provide insight into the process of uncovering history. Images of workers carefully brushing away dust from ancient walls or archaeologists standing amid ruins demonstrate the painstaking effort required to recover the stories of vanished civilizations. Each photograph emphasizes the connection between past and present, showing how contemporary observers engage with remnants of human history, piecing together fragments of life that otherwise would have been lost. Ultimately, rare photographs of forgotten cities and lost worlds remind us that human achievement is both ephemeral and enduring. While buildings crumble and streets fall silent, the traces left behind, captured in these images, allow us to reconstruct and reimagine the lives of those who came before us. They evoke reflection on mortality, ambition, and resilience, showing that even in decay, there is beauty, meaning, and a story to be told. Through these haunting visuals, history becomes tangible and visceral, and we are reminded that every civilization, no matter how mighty, leaves behind echoes that demand to be seen, studied, and remembered. History is often portrayed as orderly and predictable, a sequence of events that led to the world we know today. Yet, when we examine rare photographs of the past, we discover a side of history that is bizarre, surreal, and sometimes even humorous. These images reveal that everyday life in earlier times was far more unexpected, chaotic, and strange than textbooks would have us believe. From peculiar fashion choices to unusual gadgets, from eccentric behaviors to social rituals that seem alien to the modern eye, these photographs show that ordinary people in history often lived lives filled with unpredictability, invention, and oddity. They challenge our assumptions that the past was a serious and uniform place, reminding us that human creativity, curiosity, and even absurdity have always existed. Consider the strange world of historical fashion. Rare photographs reveal clothing, accessories, and hairstyles that are so elaborate, exaggerated, or impractical that they seem more like art than daily wear. Women in towering hats adorned with feathers, flowers, and entire small animals, men in coats with exaggerated tails and stiff collars, children wearing miniature versions of adult attire. These images document a world where appearance was a form of social communication, personal expression, and, at times, spectacle. One photograph shows a group of elegantly dressed people posing for a formal portrait, their stiff poses contrasting with the ridiculous excess of their attire, revealing a society that prized display and status above comfort. These rare images illustrate how ordinary daily life could be theatrical, even absurd, and remind viewers that the past was as visually and culturally rich as it was unpredictable. Unusual inventions and gadgets also feature prominently in rare photographs, showing how human ingenuity sometimes produced both brilliance and absurdity. From early attempts at mechanized cleaning devices to experimental vehicles, these images reveal the trial-and-error nature of technological progress. One photograph captures a family attempting to operate a homemade flying machine, their expressions a mixture of excitement and trepidation, while the strange contraption looms precariously above them. Another shows a street vendor with an intricate mechanical cart, designed to perform multiple tasks but clearly cumbersome in practice. These images demonstrate that history was filled with experimentation, creativity, and the willingness to embrace risk, even when the results were bizarre, impractical, or humorous. Eccentric behaviors and social rituals provide yet another layer of fascination. Rare photographs show people engaging in traditions, ceremonies, or daily routines that modern viewers would find unusual or bewildering. A photograph from a small European village shows residents participating in a ritual involving masks, costumes, and elaborate gestures, a ceremony passed down for generations yet largely invisible to outsiders. Another image captures a local fair, where people are balancing on stilts, competing in strange games, or performing feats of skill that seem whimsical or even impossible. These photographs reveal the diversity of human experience, demonstrating that the past was filled with creativity, playfulness, and a willingness to embrace the extraordinary in everyday life. Animals, too, played unexpected roles in daily existence, as rare photographs reveal. From pets dressed in miniature human clothing to working animals performing unusual tasks, these images show the intimate and sometimes surreal relationships between humans and animals. One photograph shows a man riding a bicycle built to carry a pig in a specially designed basket, an invention that seems absurd today but served a practical purpose at the time. Another image captures a dog participating in a town parade, wearing an elaborate costume designed to amuse and delight spectators. These photographs remind us that the past was not only serious or tragic, it could also be whimsical, playful, and full of imagination. Some rare images document social experiments or scientific demonstrations that now seem bizarre or unsettling. Early attempts at psychology, public health, or mechanical innovation often required participation from ordinary citizens in ways that were strange or even uncomfortable. A photograph shows a group of people participating in an early amusement park ride, their faces a mixture of fear and exhilaration, illustrating both the fascination and risk of technological novelty. Another depicts a medical demonstration in which volunteers engage in unusual exercises or treatments, their expressions revealing curiosity, doubt, or even humor. These images reveal the unpredictable, experimental, and sometimes chaotic nature of daily life in earlier periods, showing that human behavior has always been diverse, inventive, and occasionally absurd. Perhaps most fascinating are the rare photographs that capture moments of contradiction, ordinary scenes infused with strangeness. Children playing with makeshift toys alongside the latest industrial machinery, women balancing domestic duties while adopting new fashion trends, workers pausing mid-task to pose in ways that reflect pride, humor, or absurdity. These moments demonstrate how daily life was never entirely predictable. They reveal that human experience is always layered, combining practicality with whimsy, danger with amusement, and routine with improvisation. The contrast between what was expected and what actually occurred is vividly captured in these images, forcing viewers to reconsider assumptions about the past. By examining these rare photographs, we gain a richer understanding of history as a lived experience that was often unpredictable, strange, and visually captivating. The images reveal that everyday life in the past was filled with experimentation, eccentricity, and ingenuity, demonstrating that people have always sought ways to express themselves, solve problems creatively, and find joy in the midst of routine. They also emphasize that history is not merely a linear progression of events but a tapestry of diverse human experiences, full of humor, absurdity, and unexpected moments. Ultimately, these photographs encourage viewers to see the past through a different lens, one that acknowledges the weird, the eccentric, and the surprising aspects of daily life. They remind us that human nature has always been playful, inventive, and full of contradictions, and that even in times of hardship, people found ways to embrace creativity, humor, and the unusual. By exploring these strange and shocking aspects of everyday life, history becomes more vivid, more relatable, and infinitely more fascinating, offering a glimpse into a world that was far more complex and unpredictable than we might ever have imagined. War is often portrayed in history books as a series of battles, strategies, and political maneuvers, yet the human experience of conflict is far more intimate, emotional, and complex than statistics or maps can convey. Rare photographs capture these hidden faces of war and peace, revealing moments of vulnerability, courage, and humanity that were often overlooked. They show soldiers not only as warriors but as individuals with fears, hopes, and relationships, and civilians as more than victims, people struggling, surviving, and sometimes finding joy even amid chaos. Through these images, history becomes a deeply personal story, revealing the emotional toll of conflict and the resilience of those who lived it. One of the most striking types of photographs depicts soldiers in moments of quiet reflection, far from the battlefield's chaos. A photograph might show a young infantryman seated on a mud-covered trench wall, staring at a letter from home, his expression a mixture of longing, fatigue, and determination. Another image captures a small group of soldiers sharing a rare meal, laughing quietly despite the destruction surrounding them. These moments, fleeting and unplanned, reveal the human side of military life, the bonds formed, the anxieties endured, and the fleeting moments of normalcy that offered relief from the unrelenting stress of conflict. Unlike official war propaganda or staged images, these rare photographs present soldiers as human beings rather than symbols of glory or strategy. Civilians, too, are central to understanding the hidden faces of war. Rare photographs reveal families displaced by fighting, children scavenging in rubble, and communities attempting to maintain routines amid destruction. One image shows a mother carefully guiding her child through streets strewn with debris, her face determined yet heavy with worry. Another captures a family attempting to rebuild a home partially destroyed by artillery, their hands covered in dust, eyes reflecting exhaustion and hope. These images emphasize that history is not only shaped by generals or policies but by the countless civilians whose daily lives were disrupted, reshaped, or destroyed by forces beyond their control. They also highlight resilience and adaptation, showing how ordinary people navigated extraordinary circumstances with courage and ingenuity. Rare photographs also capture moments of unexpected tenderness during wartime. Soldiers embracing comrades, families reunited after long separations, and individuals sharing small acts of kindness create a counterpoint to the destruction and violence. One poignant photograph shows a soldier handing a piece of bread to a hungry child, the simplicity of the act contrasting sharply with the surrounding devastation. Another captures a young couple embracing amidst ruins, a fleeting instance of love persevering despite fear and uncertainty. These images remind us that even in the darkest times, human connection endures, and the capacity for compassion and empathy persists despite adversity. Peaceful moments, too, emerge in these rare photographs, illustrating that the story of war is not only one of conflict but also of survival, recovery, and quiet resilience. Images of soldiers helping to rebuild towns, civilians returning to markets, and children attending school after displacement highlight the persistence of everyday life. One photograph shows villagers planting crops in a recently liberated area, their faces intent yet hopeful, symbolizing the human drive to restore and continue life even after profound disruption. These photographs reveal that history is not solely defined by moments of battle but also by the continuous efforts of ordinary people to reclaim, rebuild, and reshape their world. Rare images often reveal contrasts between the expected and the real, showing how perception differs from experience. Soldiers in uniform may appear strong and confident, yet candid photographs capture fatigue, fear, and uncertainty etched on their faces. Civilians might seem resilient, yet their eyes and gestures reveal worry, grief, or the heavy burden of survival. One photograph shows a group of refugees huddled under blankets, their posture revealing exhaustion, while their expressions convey determination to continue despite displacement. Another captures soldiers quietly tending to makeshift graves, illustrating a humanity often absent from heroic depictions of war. These photographs underscore the complexity of history, showing that real experiences often diverge from idealized narratives. Hidden acts of courage are also documented in rare photographs, highlighting ordinary people who took extraordinary risks. Civilians hiding others from persecution, soldiers protecting non-combatants, and volunteers providing medical care under fire are all preserved in these images. One photograph depicts a young woman leading a group of children to safety through a destroyed city, her expression both focused and anxious. Another shows a soldier sharing water with a wounded enemy combatant, an act of humanity in the midst of violence. These images reveal that courage often exists in quiet, unrecorded moments, far from medals, monuments, or historical recognition. By focusing on these hidden faces of war and peace, rare photographs allow viewers to understand history as a human experience rather than a series of abstract events. They show that the impact of conflict reaches far beyond strategy, politics, and dates, affecting emotions, relationships, and daily life. The images reveal resilience, compassion, and courage in ways that official histories often overlook. They remind us that behind every headline, every victory or defeat, there were individuals navigating fear, hope, and survival, shaping history in ways both visible and invisible. Ultimately, these rare photographs humanize history, providing a perspective that is intimate, emotional, and deeply compelling. They reveal that war is not only about battles fought or treaties signed, but about the countless moments of courage, tenderness, and resilience experienced by ordinary people. Through these images, history becomes personal, allowing us to connect with the past in ways that statistics, maps, and textbooks cannot. They remind us that even amid destruction, humanity endures, leaving traces that allow us to understand and remember the lived experiences of those who came before us. History often glorifies well-known leaders, celebrated generals, and figures enshrined in textbooks, but countless other individuals shaped the world in ways that remain largely invisible. Rare photographs of forgotten leaders, rebels, and unsung visionaries reveal stories of courage, defiance, and innovation that challenge conventional narratives. These images capture moments of decision, rebellion, and leadership that are seldom documented, showing that history is not only made by those whose names are remembered but also by those whose efforts were overlooked, suppressed, or erased. They remind us that the course of history depends on countless individuals acting with determination, often at great personal risk. Many forgotten leaders appear in rare photographs standing with their communities, planning strategies, or simply living ordinary lives while carrying extraordinary responsibilities. A photograph of a local revolutionary leader in early 20th century Latin America shows him consulting with villagers, his expression serious yet attentive, embodying the weight of both hope and risk. Another captures an African freedom fighter during a clandestine meeting, a group of allies clustered around him in secrecy. These images offer a glimpse into the reality of leadership that is far removed from public monuments or historical glorification, revealing the courage, strategy, and human vulnerability involved in guiding movements that sought to challenge entrenched power. Rebels and resistance fighters, too, emerge vividly in rare photographs, providing visual testimony to struggles that were often marginalized in official histories. Images of insurgents hiding in forests, moving through villages, or preparing for covert operations capture the tension, secrecy, and resolve of those risking their lives for ideals of justice, freedom, or survival. One particularly haunting photograph shows a group of young fighters, faces dirty and tired, yet determined, standing in a ruined village as they strategize for the next stage of their campaign. Another captures a female revolutionary teaching local children while simultaneously training adults in secret, highlighting the dual roles that leaders in resistance movements often had to play. These photographs remind viewers that rebellion and leadership were not glamorous, but perilous, demanding resilience, ingenuity, and unflinching commitment. Rare images of forgotten leaders also reveal the human costs of challenging authority. Some photographs show leaders wounded, captured, or grieving losses among their followers. One image depicts a leader mourning the death of comrades, their faces etched with sorrow and resolve, highlighting the emotional burden that accompanies defiance. Another shows a rebel quietly observing enemy movements, alone and tense, revealing the isolation and constant danger inherent in opposing entrenched power. These photographs offer a stark counterpoint to the heroic narratives often associated with leadership, emphasizing that courage and vision frequently come with sacrifice, fear, and profound responsibility. Even in times of relative peace, rare photographs illuminate the work of leaders who sought social, cultural, or economic transformation outside the battlefield. Images of educators, local politicians, and social reformers show individuals advocating for justice, education, and progress in ways that history often overlooks. One photograph depicts a teacher standing in a crowded classroom, passionately instructing children in literacy and civic values. Another captures a local council member distributing aid to impoverished neighborhoods, interacting directly with community members. These rare photographs remind us that leadership is not always defined by conquest or notoriety but by quiet, persistent efforts to improve society and uplift those who are often marginalized. Some images reveal forgotten leaders operating in secrecy, documenting clandestine strategies, covert gatherings, or underground networks that were crucial for survival and change. Photographs of hidden meetings, encoded correspondence, and concealed arms caches show that resistance often relied on ingenuity and careful planning. One image captures a leader holding a secret map with allies huddled close, their expressions tense and alert. Another shows a rebel community constructing hidden shelters in forests, demonstrating foresight and resourcefulness. These photographs emphasize the hidden infrastructure of leadership, revealing how much of history's change is guided by unseen hands, careful planning, and calculated risk. The human side of these figures is also evident in rare photographs that show moments of personal life amidst struggle. Leaders are captured laughing with comrades, resting during marches, or interacting tenderly with family members. One image depicts a rebel sharing a meal with villagers, smiles and gestures softening the tension of ongoing conflict. Another shows a leader reading letters from loved ones in a moment of quiet reflection. These images humanize individuals often mythologized or forgotten, revealing that the burdens of leadership were carried alongside everyday emotions, relationships, and vulnerabilities. By examining these rare photographs, we gain insight into how history was shaped by determination, vision, and courage that often went unrecognized. They reveal that leadership is multifaceted, comprising risk, resilience, empathy, strategy, and morality. Forgotten leaders and rebels were not only shaping political and military outcomes but also influencing culture, society, and local communities in ways that persist long after they themselves were forgotten. Each image becomes a testament to the resilience of human spirit, showing how ordinary individuals, through extraordinary acts, contributed to shaping history. Ultimately, rare photographs of forgotten leaders and rebels challenge conventional narratives of history, emphasizing that the world is not only shaped by the celebrated or famous but also by those who dared to act without recognition. They reveal courage, ingenuity, and humanity in contexts often overlooked by textbooks, reminding us that history is not merely a record of victories and defeats, but a tapestry of countless personal stories, struggles, and acts of defiance. Through these images, we can reconnect with the individuals who shaped events behind the scenes, giving them a presence, a voice, and a lasting impact that transcends the silence of official records. Everyday life in history is often relegated to footnotes, overshadowed by battles, politics, and major events. Yet rare photographs reveal the intricate details of daily existence, cultural practices, and routines that shaped societies in ways both ordinary and extraordinary. These images capture the rhythm of life, the rituals of work, leisure, and community, and the subtle ways in which people expressed identity, status, and belief. They allow us to step into the past and observe lives that were not recorded in history books but were nonetheless rich, complex, and full of meaning. Through these photographs, history becomes tangible, filled with the textures, gestures, and habits of people whose stories might otherwise be forgotten. Domestic life emerges vividly in these rare images, revealing how families lived, worked, and interacted. Photographs of kitchens, living quarters, and communal spaces show the organization of daily routines, the adaptation to limited resources, and the creativity that people employed to maintain comfort and care. One image depicts a family preparing food over an open hearth, children playing nearby, while elders tend to household tasks. Another shows a laundry day in a riverside village, with rows of clothing stretched across lines, neighbors collaborating, and conversation filling the air. These photographs reveal the labor, cooperation, and resourcefulness required to sustain everyday life, highlighting how ordinary acts, cooking, cleaning, childcare, were central to survival and social cohesion. Workplaces, too, are documented in rare images that reveal both hardship and ingenuity. Artisans, farmers, merchants, and laborers appear in their environments, performing tasks that were often physically demanding and socially structured. A photograph of a textile workshop shows women operating looms with precision, their concentration intense, while the rhythm of machines and hands fills the space. Another captures a farmer tending crops in early morning light, children assisting, and tools arranged methodically, demonstrating the integration of family and labor. These images emphasize that daily work was not only a means of survival but also a site of skill, collaboration, and cultural expression, preserving knowledge and craft across generations. Leisure and entertainment also appear in rare photographs, showing how people sought joy, creativity, and social connection. Images of street games, local fairs, theatrical performances, and musical gatherings illustrate the diversity of recreational activities that brought communities together. One photograph depicts children playing marbles in a cobblestone street, their focus and camaraderie palpable. Another captures a village festival, with dancers in traditional dress, musicians playing handcrafted instruments, and spectators gathered in joyous celebration. These images reveal that life in the past was not solely defined by labor or struggle. Moments of play, art, and communal expression were essential to identity, continuity, and morale. Cultural practices and rituals are vividly captured in rare photographs, offering insight into belief systems, customs, and social norms. Religious ceremonies, seasonal festivals, and rites of passage demonstrate the ways in which communities marked time, celebrated milestones, and negotiated social hierarchy. One photograph shows a procession honoring a local deity, participants carrying elaborate icons, their faces a mixture of reverence and excitement. Another depicts a coming-of-age ceremony, where clothing, posture, and positioning convey both tradition and societal expectations. These images reveal the layers of meaning embedded in everyday actions, demonstrating how ordinary moments were infused with symbolic, spiritual, and cultural significance. Education and knowledge transmission also emerge in these images, showing how societies invested in learning and skill development. Classrooms, workshops, and informal teaching settings appear, documenting the methods, materials, and interactions that shaped understanding. A photograph of a rural school shows children seated on benches, attentively following a teacher's instructions, chalkboards filled with lessons on literacy and arithmetic. Another captures apprentices learning trades, observing a master craftsman's hands as they shape tools or create objects. These rare images reveal the ways in which knowledge was preserved, adapted, and passed down, emphasizing the continuity and resilience of communities through education. Transportation and movement in everyday life are also depicted in rare photographs, highlighting the interplay between technology, geography, and social interaction. Streets, markets, and waterways are filled with pedestrians, animals, carts, and early vehicles, illustrating the patterns of commerce and mobility. One image shows a bustling street with vendors, children, and travelers, while another depicts a river crossing with boats transporting people and goods. These photographs reveal how infrastructure, resourcefulness, and adaptation shaped routines, linking individuals to broader social, economic, and cultural networks. Rare photographs of markets, workshops, and streets also reveal the subtle dynamics of social interaction, status, and negotiation. Buyers and sellers, neighbors and strangers, men and women, elders and children are captured in moments of exchange, conversation, or collaboration. A photograph of a crowded bazaar shows the intricate choreography of commerce, vendors calling out prices, customers inspecting goods, and children weaving through the crowd. Another captures a neighborhood gathering, where food, gossip, and shared labor reinforce social bonds. These images illuminate the rhythms of daily life, revealing the patterns, rules, and improvisations that sustained communities over time. By examining rare photographs of everyday life and cultural practices, we gain a richer, more humanized understanding of history. These images show that ordinary moments, cooking, working, celebrating, learning, or traveling, carry profound meaning, shaping identities, communities, and societies. They reveal the ingenuity, creativity, and resilience of people navigating the complexities of their world, providing depth and texture to historical narratives that are often dominated by extraordinary events, famous figures, or political milestones. Ultimately, these photographs remind us that history is lived in the small, ordinary moments that collectively shape human experience. They show that the past was full of texture, detail, and nuance, revealing lives that were complex, meaningful, and often surprising. By exploring these hidden aspects of everyday life, we connect more deeply with the human experience across time, gaining insight into how people lived, worked, loved, and created meaning in ways that resonate across generations. The history of human innovation is often told as a story of progress, celebrated inventions, and well-known breakthroughs, but rare photographs reveal a hidden side of technological development, experiments that failed, inventions that were abandoned, and early innovations that never became mainstream. These images capture the curiosity, ingenuity, and sometimes sheer audacity of individuals seeking to push the boundaries of what was possible. They show us that technological history is not only about success but also about trial, error, and the relentless pursuit of ideas that were often ahead of their time. In examining these photographs, we gain a deeper understanding of the human drive to experiment, explore, and create, even when the outcomes were uncertain or perilous. Some rare images depict early vehicles and modes of transportation that were experimental, unusual, or impractical. Inventors posed proudly beside prototype cars, motorcycles, and bicycles, often constructed from wood, metal, and improvised machinery. One photograph shows a multi-wheeled vehicle with a bizarre array of gears and levers, designed to traverse rough terrain but clearly cumbersome in practice. Another captures a team attempting to launch an early flying machine, their expressions a mixture of excitement and apprehension as the contraption teeters on its launch platform. These photographs reveal the trial-and-error nature of technological progress, highlighting both human ingenuity and the willingness to embrace risk in pursuit of innovation. Mechanical experiments and industrial prototypes also appear in rare images, showing tools, devices, and machinery that were once on the cutting edge but are now largely forgotten. Workshops filled with odd apparatuses, gears, pulleys, and wires illustrate the painstaking labor involved in designing and testing new inventions. One image depicts a craftsman adjusting a complex device intended to automate a mundane task, while another shows an engineer demonstrating a mechanical model that could power small factories or workshops. These photographs demonstrate that even when ideas did not succeed commercially or practically, they were crucial stepping stones, contributing to broader technological understanding and shaping future breakthroughs. Scientific experiments, too, are vividly captured in rare photographs, revealing curiosity that bordered on the daring or bizarre. Laboratories filled with chemicals, electrical equipment, and early computing machines show researchers testing hypotheses that ranged from the visionary to the eccentric. One photograph captures a physicist testing electrical currents on experimental machinery, sparks flying in a controlled chaos that would seem alarming to modern observers. Another shows a team conducting early aeronautical tests, models and prototypes scattered across the floor, their focus intense as they attempted to understand principles of flight. These images reveal the courage, dedication, and often the sense of playfulness inherent in scientific discovery, illustrating how the pursuit of knowledge often demanded both imagination and persistence. Rare photographs also reveal inventions intended to alter everyday life, many of which now appear unusual or humorous. Early attempts at household devices, communication tools, and public infrastructure reflect both creativity and the social context of their time. One image shows a family operating a primitive vacuum-like machine that required multiple people to function, highlighting the novelty and complexity of early domestic technology. Another depicts an early telecommunication prototype, wires stretching across rooms as inventors demonstrate their creation to a curious audience. These images remind us that innovation was never linear, it was messy, unpredictable, and often experimental, with successes emerging alongside countless failures. Photographs of scientific exhibitions, fairs, and demonstrations further illustrate the public fascination with innovation. Inventors displayed mechanical models, electrical devices, and experimental machinery to audiences eager to witness the latest marvels. One photograph captures a crowd gathered around a steam-powered contraption, expressions ranging from amazement to skepticism, while another shows a young boy tentatively touching a rudimentary robotic device. These images convey the excitement and cultural significance of technological experimentation, highlighting how ideas circulated, inspired, and challenged society's understanding of what was possible. Some rare photographs document failed inventions that are striking precisely because of their audacity. Devices designed to automate labor, improve transportation, or enhance communication often appear impractical or even absurd in hindsight. One image shows a vehicle with dozens of exposed gears and an overcomplicated steering mechanism, intended to navigate uneven terrain but clearly unwieldy. Another depicts a machine designed to fold clothes automatically, its intricate mechanisms requiring careful attention and constant adjustment. These photographs remind us that failure was an essential part of innovation, and that each misstep contributed to eventual progress by revealing limitations, inspiring refinements, and encouraging new approaches. By examining these rare images, we also gain insight into the human qualities behind technological development: curiosity, ambition, creativity, and resilience. Inventors, engineers, and experimenters appear engaged, focused, and often joyful, even when their projects faced uncertainty or ridicule. One photograph captures a team laughing amid scattered blueprints and prototype parts, a moment of camaraderie amidst experimentation. Another shows an individual quietly recording observations, determined to refine a machine that has repeatedly malfunctioned. These images reveal that technological progress is not solely the result of genius or brilliance but of persistence, collaboration, and the courage to experiment in the face of uncertainty. Ultimately, rare photographs of technological marvels, early innovations, and forgotten experiments offer a richer, more nuanced view of history. They remind us that the path to progress is rarely smooth, that innovation often emerges through trial and error, and that even ideas that seem eccentric or impractical can influence the trajectory of human development. By studying these images, we come to appreciate the human creativity, risk-taking, and determination that underpin technological history, understanding that every invention, whether successful or abandoned, contributes to the broader story of human ingenuity. These photographs invite viewers to see the past not as a series of polished achievements but as a vibrant landscape of experimentation, curiosity, and relentless pursuit of possibility. As we reach the conclusion of our journey through rare photographs and hidden histories, it becomes clear that the past is far richer, stranger, and more complex than conventional narratives suggest. What we have explored is not simply a sequence of events or a series of famous figures, but a vivid tapestry of human experience, captured in moments that were often overlooked, forgotten, or intentionally hidden. These images allow us to see beyond the myths, textbooks, and simplified accounts of history, revealing the layers of human life, the struggles, the triumphs, the absurdities, and the resilience that truly shaped the world. They remind us that history is not a static record but a living, breathing story that continues to resonate, surprise, and teach us today. Rare photographs illuminate the lives of people who history frequently neglects. We have seen marginalized communities navigating displacement, labor, and oppression, yet preserving dignity, creativity, and hope. We have observed forgotten leaders and rebels, whose courage and vision influenced change far beyond what history acknowledges. We have witnessed the hidden realities of royalty, the everyday rituals of ordinary people, the bizarre and surreal moments that punctuated life, and the ambitious but sometimes failed experiments that propelled human ingenuity forward. Each image serves as a testament to resilience, creativity, and the capacity for human beings to shape their environment, culture, and society in ways both visible and invisible. By exploring these hidden histories, we are compelled to reconsider how we define significance and legacy. The famous and the celebrated, while important, are only a fraction of the story. Equally critical are the ordinary individuals whose contributions, struggles, and daily choices created the conditions for history to unfold. A photograph of a street vendor in a bustling market, a miner emerging from dark tunnels, or children playing amid ruins is as historically revealing as an image of a coronation or battlefield. These images invite us to appreciate the interconnectedness of human experience and recognize that history is built not only on monumental events but also on the countless small, everyday moments that define life itself. The contrast between myth and reality emerges powerfully through these photographs. They challenge preconceived notions, showing that the past was neither uniformly grand nor entirely bleak. There was opulence and poverty, absurdity and ingenuity, despair and joy, often coexisting in the same spaces and moments. A royal banquet might be surrounded by societal suffering, yet children still played in nearby streets. Experimental machines might fail spectacularly, yet they paved the way for modern technology. Rebels and forgotten leaders operated in secrecy, yet their actions influenced the lives of entire communities. The rare photographs remind us that history is full of nuance and contradiction, resisting simplistic narratives and inviting us to engage with its complexity. Equally significant is the emotional resonance these images convey. Unlike traditional historical records, which often abstract events into dates, statistics, or official accounts, photographs provide a tangible connection to the people who lived them. The expressions on faces, the posture of bodies, the clutter of streets, the texture of clothing, and the decay of buildings all communicate emotion, atmosphere, and context. They allow us to feel the tension of war, the determination of innovators, the joy of communal celebrations, and the resilience of those navigating hardship. Rare photographs transform history from an intellectual exercise into a visceral experience, bridging time and space and fostering empathy for those who came before us. Moreover, these images emphasize the power of curiosity and observation. By looking closely at details, objects in a workshop, children's games in a street, subtle gestures in a royal portrait, we uncover stories that challenge assumptions and expand our understanding. They teach us that history is not merely what is written but what is preserved, observed, and interpreted. Each photograph becomes a portal into a hidden world, a fragment of truth that compels us to question what we know, to imagine the lives behind the frame, and to appreciate the richness of human experience that often escapes textual documentation. As we reflect on these rare photographs and hidden histories, there is also a lesson for the present. They remind us that ordinary lives matter, that curiosity and experimentation are vital, and that courage can exist in both spectacular acts and quiet defiance. They encourage us to look beyond surface appearances, to question simplified narratives, and to seek understanding in places that might otherwise remain overlooked. In doing so, we honor the complexity of history and the countless individuals who shaped it, often without recognition or reward. Ultimately, history captured through rare photographs is an invitation to see, to question, to empathize, and to marvel at the unexpected richness of the human experience. It challenges us to embrace nuance, to recognize both the extraordinary and the ordinary, and to remember that every life leaves traces that contribute to the collective story of humanity. These images compel us to reconsider everything we thought we knew about the past, revealing that history is not just a record of events, but a living archive of human resilience, creativity, and wonder. By the end of this journey, it is clear that history is not merely what survives in textbooks or monuments. It exists in the quiet, surprising, and often hidden moments captured in rare photographs, the laughter of children in abandoned streets, the determination of unseen leaders, the absurdity of experiments, the resilience of everyday life, and the fleeting moments of human connection during times of war, peace, or labor. These images invite us to connect with the past on a human level, to honor the overlooked, and to recognize the beauty and complexity that history holds. Through these glimpses, we are reminded that history is never truly lost. It waits for the curious, the observant, and the empathetic to discover it, reflect upon it, and share its stories with the world.